Okay, with us, just off the stage from IAB Innovation Days at Internet Week, we have Ekapat Chareonlarp, Director, Client Development and the Head of Tech Media Lab at IDG Tech Network, and Will Price, CEO of Flite. The two of you have partnered to create a new ad format called the nanosite. Will, do you want to tell me a little bit about what that does and what problem it solves in the marketplace?
Absolutely. First of all, it's great to be here. What Ekapat said on stage, really it's about a fundamental concept about instead of running advertisements where you try to bring people to your content, which is the traditional way of running an ad, where you drive a click-through to some landing page or some branded experience. It's about bringing the best content you own as a brand or as a publisher and bringing it to where the people actually are. So nanosites is a play on the concept of microsite or landing page. And really the way I like to describe it is that if you pick up a landing page, and that landing page may have videos on it, real-time content updates, polls, lead gen forms, and you shake that site, just shake it like a salt shaker, all those great assets fall right out into an ad unit that can be served through ad networks or on publisher sites. So literally a nanosite is a miniaturized web page, a miniaturized landing page that has all the same functions as a landing page, but without the risk of how do you get traffic to it, because it's being trafficked as an ad unit.
I see. So the consumer experience of a nanosite is basically a smaller site in a display box?
Yes. You know, one thing I like to add is really the enhanced engagement and the measurement that we gain out of it. In traditional display or rich media, sometimes you just capture interaction rate or the video play or time spent. We now be able to understand the engagement on the asset level. You know, whether it's PDF, whether it's, you know, slideshow or video. So how user content path look like when they start from video, go to movies, go to, you know, other assets. So the advertisers, what they get is actually the learnings from the nanosite. So we can actually partner tighter with them and help make the experience better and more customized for their prospect.
How does more interactivity, you know, a consumer delving into a nanosite seems like they could be there for quite a long time. It sounds like more calls to action. How does that bring us closer to, you know, powerful brand advertising in terms of both creative and metrics? Will, do you want to
Sure,
start?
yeah, I'll take that. So traditionally, display advertisers have been told two things: how many impressions were served and what clicks they got, what click-through rate was. Well, when you move from an ad unit that's designed really to be an exit on the highway to get you somewhere to an ad that is a site, you really want to care about, you can measure, as Ekapat said, much deeper metrics around dwell time and engagement rate. Now what brands really want is they want to improve brand recall. Like, imagine this, you're standing in front of the cereal shelf at the grocery store and there's literally 100 different cereals up there. Close your eyes, what brand are you thinking about now? That's brand recall, right? Then brand lift is where you actually drive more sales to your brand than you would have if you hadn't advertised. And purchase intent is you increase the likelihood that someone's actually going to be a buyer when they get in that situation where they have to make a decision. So what we're trying to say is that don't really focus on click-through rates. These are these metrics that you can't, there's a famous saying that says people measure what they can, not what they should. The industry measures click-through rate and impression count, but what it should be measuring is, did my sales go up? Is the purchase intent increased? Is the brand recall higher? And our premise is very simple. There's a direct correlation between engagement and time in a unit and those metrics that people care about. So the more time you get, the more engagement you get, the more interactions you get, the more likely you are to drive brand recall, purchase intent, and brand lift.
Great. What about in terms of creativity and creating kind of emotional, you know, connections? Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. So if you think about display as a canvas, you know, with the rich media functionalities, the canvas expands. So you have multifacets of experience. You want to start putting it together as a storyboard, for example. You go from one to the next to the next. And I think that's where creativity comes from. My team, we're starting to actually hire a lot more new designer right from the school. You know, Parsons, you know, you go to New York, NYU, and bringing all these new fresh ideas, people who are actually passionate about putting, making ad more beautiful again. And actually, it's our secret sauce in terms of enhancing engagement. And I think the art part of it is really what's going to drive the industry back to where it should be. display will be beautiful again. Display will make sense again. Display is really inviting again, not something that consumer are going to learn how to ignore. It's becoming useful. It's becoming app-like. It's becoming portable. So the more we actually focus on those things, usability, pleasant, design, I think that's where we're going to thrive.
When you go online today, a lot of the experiences that a consumer would have and a marketer has in terms of trying to get their attention is very different from what you're describing. How do you get from where we are now to what you're suggesting? What are the barriers and why aren't we there already?
Well, I think one of the things I like to think of is that the creative industry, because they didn't have the technology beforehand, really focused on what I call the platonic form of perfect creative. They spent a lot of time on, is this the right image? Is this the right tagline? Is this the right video clip? And what the internet allows you to do, and what social media has taught us, is that you can iterate, you can try things. Does this work? Does that work? Does this work? And so part of it is just it used to be that it was so hard to change things, so hard to program, do things that were more than just a traditional ad. It was so expensive that it really limited the ability to test and iterate. So I think we've technically reached a place where that's now possible. Now it's a mindset change. And one of the great books that I read recently is called Little Bets. It's exactly about that. It's saying don't bet on a big bang creative execution. You may make it, you may miss. I mean, it's like, and you have to close that execution 6 weeks before the campaign is going to start. Instead, start out there in the market, put out content you think will be interesting, and then watch the numbers and then change it and be malleable. And that's what Twitter's all about. It's like, hey, what's trending today? What's on Facebook? What's interesting today? And brand marketing needs to borrow from some of that agility that social marketing's allowed people to do. So it's really a mind shift change from going from perfectly finished creative to really more of a, not stream of consciousness, but an agile path where every day you can make changes that are subtle and yet important in the overall performance. And so it's not a technology challenge anymore. It's really a mindset and organizational behavior challenge. And those are not insignificant, but I think we're getting there.
Ekapat, you also talked a bit about collaboration. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how a marketer or a publisher would go about, choosing who to collaborate with, and kind of looking at the tech environment and saying, what's a fad and what will stick.
Right. Traditionally, how the media got bought and sold, on the campaign basis is based a lot on trust. That's why, in the media, big program, big campaigns, you have direct sales force that, sometimes have been doing this, dealing with the same customer, more than decades or so. So trust is very important and is very sensitive. But, that's about to change in, slowly. But I think, since the production process is now being done, on a very fragmented, you have better tools, for example, Swift files that ready to go. You don't have to actually hire someone to create. You can purchase, plug in, sometimes even computer itself, can recalculate and put together ads based on the certain criteria. So to answer that question, the collaborations will come naturally, and it will come in the, given the comfort zones, the advertiser will have to be the orchestrator. You're bringing different partners in, different agencies who have expertise, and actually group that together, with the common goal and financial, model tie into it. I've seen that happens with a lot of my programs, and I think it will continue to happen.
Great. Thank you two very much. We appreciate it.